So sometimes when I'm going through a low point in my reading, when I'm lacking some inspiration, what really helps me is when I hear other people talk about how they read, how the practices they follow, their reading rituals and so on, and that really inspires me. And that is really the point of this video today. I want to share my own rituals and my reading practices, my reading habits with you. And I hope that helps you gain some traction, maybe some additional traction if you already are reading a lot, or if you're struggling to read, maybe you can gain some inspiration to start reading a little bit more. Why is reading important? Obviously, I think it's one of the best ways to have a conversation with somebody who's done a lot of research, an author who could be very intelligent. And it is a really good way to cultivate focus and attention in life, and then use that really to find your center, your meaning in life. So there we go. My name is Abhishek, and I like to make videos about journaling, about reading, about things that bring focus and attention to your life. So the main thing about reading for me is that it's I make it a very important part of my day, that I prefer uninterrupted time to read, especially in the mornings. I like to read when it's dark and I just have one lamp on. I think that's a very, very nice, cozy way to have this like very special time. I sit down and my cat usually jumps on my lap, and so she's my reading partner. Actually, she tries to put herself between me and the book sometimes, which makes it a little challenging, but eventually settles, and then we end up having some time to read. I generally read maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, which is, I know it's not much. I think there are other people who read quite a bit more, but that's just what I've got. I've got other things I do in the day, which takes more precedence. So I'll read sometimes half an hour to an hour in the morning, usually nonfiction. I think over time I've realized that my brain really likes nonfiction in the morning, so that's what I do. And that's an important part for you as well, is to kind of find out what times of the day what your brain is craving and in what medium. And that's I think when I was able to figure that out, that really jump-started my reading, that I prefer nonfiction in the morning, and I do not like nonfiction in the evening or at night before going to bed, because that gets my brain going. I prefer maybe more kind of lighter fiction books that are not super like chaotic or dramatic. So that's generally how my reading works. So nonfiction in the morning, and then I usually either walk my dog with my wife, or I go to the gym. That probably ends my reading time at that time. In the afternoon, I'll get maybe an hour, whether I'm reading while I'm eating my lunch, or I am out on a walk and I'm listening to an audiobook, which counts as reading for me. Lately, I'm maybe not reading as many audiobooks though, so I'm maybe doing a little bit of less of that. I'm kind of between audiobooks right now, so I'm just listening to podcasts. In the evening, after dinner, I'll start reading maybe an hour before bedtime, so that's my other hour. And that's usually fiction, and that's really how much reading I do. So I read anywhere between 2 to 3 books a day. I used to be a one book a day, one book at a time kind of person, and I found that I obviously don't like nonfiction at night and it keeps me awake, or fiction in the morning gets me sleepy. So I went to 2 to 3 books a day, and that seems to work out very well for me, I think. So don't hesitate in changing up your styles or figuring out other ways of reading that maybe you're not used to. That was a big lesson for me, is to just really challenge the way I read, the way I thought I should read, and challenging that really changed and opened up the way I read. Okay, so that aside, how do I find books and anything? I find books anywhere I can, really, and the main thing is that anytime a book strikes my attention, I'll immediately go and buy it. So I will not spare any expense. Again, buying a book, that's a luxury I give myself. A lot of people buy clothes or electronics and gadgets and whatnot, and for me, that's books. So if let's say an author talked about a book in another book, I'll buy it. If I was watching YouTube and somebody mentioned a book and thought it looked interesting, it's a TED Talk that I was like, oh, I want to see what else that person has to say, and it turns out they wrote a book, I'll go out and buy that. And I buy them, and I probably spent, I don't know, last year somewhere around $1,500 on books. This year I've already spent about $1,000. I'm not saying this to brag about money. I'm just saying that that is what I give my attention and focus to. Now, you could go to the library and do the same thing by, not buy books, but read countless amounts of books. What I like to do is write in the margins of the books, especially nonfiction, and underline and dog-ear the pages and so on. So that's why I buy my books, and it's a luxury I give myself. You could get a library book and then have a separate notepad where you're taking down those notes, or scanning some pages into your phone or whatever and doing the same thing. Many ways possible. I'm just a little bit lazy that way. I just want to write into the book directly, and that's what I do. And I like having a home library that I can kind of browse around in and just find a book that I was looking for, have some categories and so on, kind of browse in my library. I like doing that. So that's the other thing I do, is buy books all the time. Now, to keep reading interesting, I keep about 4 stacks of books. So what you're seeing here on the shelf horizontally are 4 stacks. Those are books that I am yet to read. So this is my reading pile. So on this side here, which is right for you, left, I'm not sure how this does on the video, but the tallest stack on this side, this end of the dresser, are my easy fiction books. So these are anywhere from short stories to novels, and that's something I read at night. The next very short stack, you can hardly see it behind all the stuff, is my hard, short books, usually fiction, but sometimes nonfiction. So things like Iris Murdoch and Virginia Woolf are in that list. And I'll talk about how I have those stacks separated, but they're harder, but they're short books. The next stack is, with the hat on it, is my short but easy nonfiction. So anything less than 300 pages goes into that book, which is nonfiction, goes into that stack. And then the last stack is my long or hard, or both, nonfiction. So that is where the red stapler is, and that is where anything over 300 pages goes. And I think I got this idea of having a variety of stacks available from Cal Newport, but I could be wrong. The reason I have these stacks is because I go through different periods in my life where, like right now, I am going through a fairly straightforward, easy part of life. So I have the mental capacity, the stamina to pick up a long and hard book. So I picked up a book from that long and hard stack. It's over 300 pages. That's fine. There are other times when I'm going through a challenging time when I don't want the added burden of something difficult to read or digest. So that's when I'll pick something from the short and easy stack. So really using a variety of books to kind of work with how my life is going at that time. And I'll read a book anywhere from a week to a month is what it takes me to finish reading a book. As I said, I read multiple books at a time. So there you go. So that's the 4 stacks of books that I keep as a sort of a list that I can pick from and make it match my mood of the time. All right. One other thing I've done in the past is book clubs. So I have joined book clubs in the past. I am not currently part of any formal book club right now, though I am trying to make one with some friends. We read a book together recently and it turned out okay, so we might do it again. And that's really all we're doing right now. So I would encourage you to go find a good book club, and that's kind of key. I don't want to make you think that joining a book club is going to be really easy, because you often end up, in my experience, you end up with either a club that reads books you don't want to read often, or they read a book you want to read, but also like they don't want to discuss the book. Discussions with a group is probably the most important part of joining that book club for me. And the second being, you get to read books that you maybe didn't think of. So Trial and error is the best way to do that. And if you can't find a book club, I would say make one. Talk to some friends of yours and see if they are interested in some of the same topics you are. And if they are, join, invite them to, pick a book that you can read together and see if you like talking about the book when everybody's done reading. And maybe that's the start of something. But that's a really good way to keep that reading part of your life, as you're now making a community, bringing community part of it. And those are really the main things I do when I'm reading. But during the day, when I'm reading, I have really stacks of books everywhere. So there's a stack of books here that I've finished reading and I haven't filed away yet. There's stacks of books next to my bed, multiple books, by the way, which means that if I'm going to bed that day and I feel like not reading the book that's on the top of the pile, I can pick a different book because whatever, it strikes my mood. And really, that's how I am very flexible with that reading. Same thing in the living room when I sit in the morning and read with my cat. I have a pile of books sitting there as well. And usually there's one main book that I'm reading on the top, but sometimes maybe I want something easy, and there's maybe a book that is more of a collection than a one long piece of work, and I will read that. So I keep a stack of books like that just to keep things easy, and I just have that flexibility and variety in my life. That's another thing to do, is have books around in your house. That way, if you sit down somewhere, say, let's say you're trying to beat your phone addiction and you're trying to read more, well, find the places where you sit down with your phone and leave a really interesting book next to it. And the next time you sit down there, you have a choice. It's a little harder choice because the phone is still going to be a lot easier to get to, but maybe 3 out of 10 times you'll make the choice of picking up the book instead. And that's why I really advocate keeping stacks of books everywhere. That way you're never away from a book. Carry a book with you when you're going out of the house. Maybe you won't get a chance to read it, which is fine. It can just stay in your bag. But maybe you'll get delayed at a doctor's visit or at the mechanic shop or wherever you're going, and you'll get a 5-10 minute break to just read a page or two, and that's awesome as well. So take a book with you everywhere you go. I do that as often as I can. Sometimes I forget and then I'm cursing myself. And that's it. Anyway, hope that helps you with some pieces of some ways to find inspiration in how you read. This is how I read, and my reading frankly changes over time. So it's like this today. It might look a little bit different 6 months from now. Maybe it'll look a little more different a year from now. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next one.